All right, let's wrap it up. Talk about Mike Woodson.
All right, please.
Just because I have some thoughts, and it is what it is. First of all, I'm not going to say it's a home run hire. I'm not going to say it's a failure of a hire. Like the internet, this took me by surprise. The way people responded to this, I thought it was good. I thought it was good / great. Like I thought, the moment Brad Stevens said no, I think. You find yourself, if you're an Indiana person, you're the Indiana Athletic Department, you're Scott Dolson, athletic director, you find yourself in a situation where basically whoever you hire is going to look stupid to the internet, to the world at large, because Brad Stevens said no, so you've already established a situation where you're going to plan B. And in a lot of people's minds, Mike Woodson was plan D, E, F, G, H. Yep. That's not the case. I mean, believe what you want. I don't care. It doesn't. But they offered two people the job. They offered Brad Stevens. He said no. They kicked the tires on a few guys. Maybe they made phone calls. Like Chris Holtman was a guy that made a phone call. I don't believe that they offered him the job. I don't think they were calling and say like, Chris, you're our guy. We zeroed in on you.
Let's see what we have here. Let's see.
I think they were like, hey, Chris Holtman, you wanted the job 4 years ago. We're just calling him. Like we're pretty sure
you don't have interest.
We're pretty sure you don't want the job. But like, boy, we would hate it if you're just waiting for the phone call. So you don't want it, right? He's like, no, I'm happy to Ohio State. He's like, done. Okay, hang up the phone. Cool. Like it wasn't like they said, here's our offer, Chris. Yeah. Let's get into negotiate. No, they didn't do that. They offered as soon as Brad said no, all the talk, all the chatter coming out of Bloomington said, let's go after a former player at Indiana. And if you're going down that route, Mike Woodson's the obvious choice in my mind. I mean, the one knock against him is he's 63. Otherwise, he checks basically every box you would want to check. And it is fascinating to me that on the day that Mike Woodson is hired, Tate, that he's officially announced as Indiana's head coach, you have Mick Cronin and Juwan Howard advance to the Elite Eight, because Juwan Howard was the obvious parallel that everyone was pointing to. They're like, Mike Woodson has never coached college basketball. Yep. He's an NBA guy. He's an NBA assistant. Is he going to know how to recruit? It's the hardest thing in the world. Recruiting is the boogeyman of college basketball.
Yes.
No one wants to do it. That's why they go to the NBA. When you come back to college, no one wants to do it. It's the hardest thing in the world to recruit kids to play college basketball, but somehow, boy, these 350 programs every year manage to do it. I don't know how they do it. It's the hardest thing in the world, but they find a way. It's so weird. So that was the thought with Juwan Howard. So that's the parallel with Mike Woodson coming from the NBA. He's going to his alma mater. He's very passionate about it.
But wait, what you're saying is Juwan Howard got to the Elite Eight and he was supposed to fail. So now we know that it's not going to fail. We
know that there's a possibility.
Exactly.
It's
so
possible.
We should be more positive towards the.
There are differences. Granted, I'm not saying it's a one-to-one comparison, but that's where your mind immediately goes. The other way
we haven't seen the press conference yet. If Mike Woodson cries in the press conference, then I know where this is headed.
The other parallel you could make is that if Mike Woodson, if you are to believe that Indiana did call Nate Oates and Chris Beard and Eric Musselman and Scott Drew, and they worked their way down the list, and Mike Woodson was 36th on their list, and then they called him, and he was like, yeah, I guess I'll take it if I have to, which is kind of the vibe that people had about the Indiana job. The public, thanks to basically every other person in the national college basketball media.
Who seem to just absolutely hate the idea of an NBA guy coming to college basketball because it's such a bad product. And we don't understand that because we, again, are college basketball guys.
If that is true, if that is the narrative you want to believe, then you look at Mick Cronin and you're like, well, I'll be damned. That's a falling star blue blood that's fallen on hard times, that can't get anybody to take this job. Yeah. This is the worst job in
UCLA's handling of their search. We talk about a PR nightmare.
Nightmare. It was a night. Like we made how many jokes about it.
What people are trying to make Indiana look like.
Yeah.
Based on
what
the
UCLA's
way they're
was.
talking about is what UCLA
and still, was. In spite of all of that, in spite of that nightmare, they get their guy and look at him in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
And by the way, they're going to be better next year. So this isn't even. It's not even like this was the push to the. This wasn't like the peak of UCLA. Like they're going to be better next year. So I wanted to say that. So in my mind, like I didn't think this was we're going through all the reactions here. Thomas Bryant.
I will say, like, if you are Mike Woodson, the fact that people are talking about you, don't know X's and O's of basketball. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful.
You're pretty fired up about this.
I mean, just the idea that you think it's funny. Like, it's the Joe Pesci, like, funny how.
Funny.
Like, I mean, that's what it is. Yeah. Like, it's funny how. Like, why?
It's funny. I'll tell you why it's funny.
It's
because Brad Stevens said no. And as I said, the moment they said that, like, because if Nate Oates takes the job, you know what's said? If Nate Oates, he loses tonight, he takes the job. It's hilarious that Indiana hired a guy that's never been to a Final Four, has had like he's had one good year.
It's a home run hire.
And you're claiming it's a home run. The flavor of the month guy. Same with Musselman. You're like, this guy, the narrative would be flamed out in the NBA. He's never stayed at a spot more than a couple years. He's going to, no matter who you hire, I guess Chris Beard would be the one you maybe talk yourself into, but even then you're like, oh, it was one fluke run in 29. I don't know. Haters always find a way. That's what we know about haters. That's what they're great at what they do. I will tip my cap. They are great at what they do. So I'm not gonna say this is a home run hire. I'm not gonna say it sucks. I'm gonna say that almost always with coaching hires, you don't know. If we didn't learn our lesson with Archie Miller, for God's sakes,
that was a home run hire.
That was a home run.
Yeah, everyone said that.
So I'm not gonna like puff my chest out and be like Indiana had just hit a home run and everyone else should be scared. But Mike Woodson is awesome. He's an awesome dude. He loves Indiana. He loves and for a lot of people that doesn't matter, but like other times it does. Like it mattered when we saw Juwan Howard's press conference. We looked at each other and we were like, I take back any bad things I said about this guy.
Yeah, we're like, this is legit. Like, he wants to be here.
That's Mike Woodson. Whether he cries on the outside or not, he feels that way about Indiana. He grew up in Indianapolis. He understands the infrastructure of Indiana, the state, how it works, the city of Indianapolis.
This is literally the blueprint. Like, if you're an Indianapolis kid, you look at Mike Woodson and you say, I want to be what you were at IU, and I want to be the NBA legend that you turned into, being able to coach, being able to be around great players, be on different staffs.
Yes.
And that's what I mean by disrespect. The fact that this guy was just working with the New York Knicks, working with, World Wide West, Leon Rose.
Dude, he's connected for
days. The fact that you now have a pipeline to the most important NBA franchise, the most valuable NBA franchise in Madison Square Garden. You don't think Mike Woodson, who coached there?
Wait, hold on. He was an assistant for the Knicks, so he was in the NBA. He had an NBA job.
And guess what? He wanted to go coach college basketball. Who would have thought?
Wait. Hold on. Wait,
that's what I'm saying.
He had job security as an NBA coach.
Mm-hmm.
He lived in New York City, in Manhattan. He got to coach every single night in Madison Square Garden
with Tibbs
for the New York Knicks.
The 5th seed in the Eastern Conference.
They're in the playoffs.
Yes, above the Boston Celtics.
And he wanted to go to Bloomington, Indiana. Why?
Yeah.
Huh. That's weird. That doesn't make any sense to
me.
Why would he do that?
Well, let me just say this. To add insult to injury, right? You can laugh at it. You can meme it. You can joke about it. You can say that I'm dumb for thinking that Mike Woodson is a good hire. Because I know Mike Woodson
I think he's definitely a good hire. I want to say that. I'm not going to say he's a home run. Like, we live in a black and white world where you got to say, like,
I don't care about home run hires or whatever.
But
if you don't like Mike Woodson, if you don't understand that Thad Matta is one of the hottest coaching commodities and has been for the past, since he got fired, so let's say 5-6 years now, you're crazy. This man get offered the Georgia job, the UCLA job, every single job that comes up.
Wichita State.
Yeah, he gets the
Ole Miss was
he gets
in the mix.
The offer. I mean,
Wake Forest was in the mix.
Wake Forest. Okay, so that guy who is obviously desired by every single school in the country now decides I'm going to come here and be I want to work with Mike Woodson, and I want to work with Mike Woodson, and I want to run this program. Yeah. And you're telling me it's funny.
And it's funny. Yeah, and that this was like
I refuse. I refuse to engage with that.
Whatever,
so. Good luck, IU. Good luck to the Hoosier fans. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, we're not saying IU's going to win national titles in the next 5 years.
I'm just saying, why are you laughing? That's all I'm saying. And if you disrespect Mike Woodson, I promise you, you will it'll all come back. It'll all come back. So. Ask him these questions in person,
dude. I could not believe the reaction from Purdue fans who were like laughing. Yeah, like that was the thing that stood out to me because we looked at each other. First of all, I want to say this. My dad loves this. Coach Titus loves this.
Love it.
And Coach Titus doesn't. These days, it's hard to.
It's hard to move the meter with Coach Titus when it comes to IU.
When it comes to IU, Indiana could win the national title by 20, and Dad would complain about the 9 turnovers they had. Yeah. And that's where he's arrived as an Indiana basketball fan. And he was like, I could not be happier about Mike Woodson. He's a great dude. He loves the state. He is going to get every single kid that can play a shred of basketball in the state of Indiana is going to be lining up to play for IU.
Yeah,
because the brand, the combination of the brand and the coach now putting them together. That's what Purdue fans don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Every great Purdue player that's from the state of Indiana wanted to go to Indiana. They know that deep down in their hearts. They know that. They know that Robbie Hummel went to Indiana and looked at the banners and was like, "Damn, that's pretty tight. I would love to be a part of that." And then their recruitment falls apart for either like Indiana doesn't want them. Maybe they're like, Tom Crean said something weird to me that one time on that one visit, so like I don't want to go there anymore.
Yeah, maybe Mike Conley situation where he's getting letters that aren't addressed.
Maybe I'll go to Purdue. Yeah. But they know that Purdue fans know this. They know that Mike Woodson is an Indiana guy. They know that he's well connected in the city of Indianapolis. They know he's well connected outside of Indianapolis with CAA, World Wide West.
But you talk about the Pacers and like it's insane.
It doesn't make any sense.
What are you talking about?
I don't
when you say it's a bad hire, I don't
Literally,
understand.
the only thing that's bad is that he's 63, which is fair, and I get that. That like he's.
But
he's
you
an
wanted
older
John
dude.
Beilein, who's older than him.
I will say, for as old as Mike Woodson is, he looks great. He doesn't have a gray hair on his head. Literally. Literally.
Got him.
Not even on his face.
You're
it's
right.
jet black.
Yeah,
So,
dude.
How old is he really? You
Also,
know?
like, you can't have it both ways. You can't be like, watch out for Coach K next year with Paolo Banchero.
yeah.
Can't have it both ways.
Yeah, and if IU hires John Beeline, that's a home run. The dude's 68.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, I would have liked that too. Like, I don't know.
My whole point is that Patrick Ewing just won the Big East tournament and gets done, and he literally looks at this media and he says, you guys all thought that I was just a dumb jock up here that doesn't know anything about coaching, and take that, haters and doubters. And now you're doing the same thing to Mike Woodson,
who actually like had coach.
Who has even more experience.
He was an NBA head coach forever.
and like gets it. Like he comes back with Bob Knight when Bob Knight comes back to IU. I don't know.
I'll wrap up with this. I am fascinated to see the. But you brought up Thad. I'll say the Thad piece. I am tickled to death for him. I think this is a perfect role for Coach Matta. Every time I talk to him, I've been asked this for the last 4 years by a million times. Is he going to coach again? And I can never give a straight answer, and it's not because I'm trying to be mysterious. It's because every time I talk to him, he will start his sentence with yes, and he will end it with no, and somewhere and he's like absolutely, I'm going to coach again. I love it. It's great. I love it as much as I love sitting on my porch on a Saturday afternoon with no responsibilities and a nice cold beer, which is actually what I really. And you're like, wait. Sorry, it sounds like you love retirement.
Wait a second,
but you love coaching and he was always all over. And I could never get a read on like where his mind was at with it all. And that is to say, Tate, that I think deep down he wanted to coach. But he didn't want the BS that comes with it. He doesn't want the politicking, the press conferences, the recruiting. There you go. The recruiting. The recruiting. It's the boogeyman. He didn't want all the garbage that comes with coaching. He wanted this is he didn't tell me this, by the way, just so it's clear. This was my read
your
on.
inference, yeah.
And that's why I think this role is perfect. He's an associate AD with the Indiana. He by the way has lived in Indiana since the moment he was fired. He packed up his stuff like that day, drove over to Indianapolis. They bought a house. Like I really did feel like it was that day at Ohio State, and he's lived in Indiana ever since. So.
And he had kids go to Butler, right? Yeah.
He's an Indiana guy, so I'm happy for him, man. Like honestly, whether this whole thing works out or not, like I'm just happy that Coach Mott is like back in the game a little bit because I love him to death, and I will be making far more trips to Bloomington, Indiana now that this has happened, and I'm excited about that as well. Let's go sink the biz, IU fans, please. Can we all in this post-COVID? Is Sink the Biz going to survive COVID? I don't think it is, by the way.
We played it. Yeah, I was like, we played that game.
It's the biggest spreader of strep throat in the history of.
I was sick after
college.
The next day I woke up, I was sick. It was great. Though.
It's great. It's great. It's a lot of fun. I'm sure.
My final note: we did a show, the Emergency IU State of Indiana podcast, and the whole point of the podcast was that there's a reverence for your home state, there's a reverence for Indiana basketball, and there's a reason why if you get the call, you take the call. And that was the whole point. And the fact that Mike Woodson got the call, took the call, said yes, shows that point is true. And the fact that Thad Matta got the call, took the call, said yes, shows that that's true. And guess what? I don't care what any masshole says.
The massholes, listen, there are a lot of massholes out there. They're trying to clown me for saying, I thought Brad Stevens might consider IU. Yeah. They're just saying you're an absolute idiot, Titus, for ever believing that.
They're saying, Titus, have you seen the banners in the Springfield, Massachusetts YMCA?
Listen,
have you seen those banners?
The haters are trying to dunk on me on the internet, and I just want to say, in the words of Conor McGregor, I want to take this opportunity to apologize to no one. I apologize to no one. You're all idiots. I take nothing back. I stand by it. Everything I said was true. Yep. You cannot prove otherwise. Kiss my ass. Put me in the Elite Eight with all the other coaches. Yep. That's my message to the haters.
To the doubters. Hey there. Thanks for watching Titus and Tate. For the full friend of the program experience, subscribe right below and come join us for all things college basketball. The action is heating up. Come join Titus and Tate.